All right, let's wrap up. Let's wrap up the coverage of this game. We're going to take you from '04 to '09 now. So, as we've seen, both Austria and Germany have taken nice positions here. Italy is also working with Austria at this point, so it looks like the center of powers are doing quite well. So, what happens next? All right, '05. Italy is going to make progress against France. Now France does make some dubious plays here. I think France probably has to retreat into Mao to try to make a defensive position against Italy. Maybe he can still work with me at one point, even though I have stabbed him for Belgium, which he retook in the fall of '04. It's actually Russia who prevents my convoy here, even as I've helped him into Eddy, but that's okay. And then improving kind of the position here. I mean, I just have plenty of armies. Of note, Russia is able to take back Sev here usefully, which does disband this Italian army. This Italian army was in a pretty good position in Sev, slightly less good having been disbanded and piffed from the board. We also see Turkey go ahead and take Ionian, so as we discussed in the previous video, that was an opening. Tyrolia from Trieste. Where is that going next? We shall see. Meanwhile, at this point, I'm just looking to, slowly improve my position while keeping balance of power if I'm to hope to become part of a big draw here. So, in the fall, once again, I attempt a convoy. Doesn't work. But I do go ahead and take Belgium from France, and France is losing Spain, Belgium, and Marseille while holding on to Portugal, Liverpool, and London. So he will be disbanding 3 units here, and Austria now takes his chance. He does see this as an opportunity, maybe keep France in the game longer, and try to make a play himself to top this board as well. But it's interesting to see how Russia's playing. I think he's playing well with only 4 units and is able to get back into the Ukraine. And because he retook Sev, he can now build. And he's still on good terms with me, although I do have plenty of leverage. I can always walk into STP. But that is going to help balance against Austria, which is really good for me, right? So France goes ahead and makes some interesting removals there. Takes away all the mainland centers and says, I'm just going to sit in England and try to be irritating. So not so good for him, but really good for me. So now Italy really has to come back and defend his home territory. Also good for me, right, because relationship-wise, we just worked together against France, and now we may get to work together against Austria. Meanwhile, it's going to be pretty slow going versus France, but I do improve my position by heading into the English Channel. At this point, I was thinking about making a push, for the Iberian Peninsula and maybe even Western Med at one point, thinking about where are my 18 centers coming from, but not wanting to move too quickly to do that, so as to scare the rest of the board into preventing that solo attempt. Russia goes ahead and takes Gal, so improving his position here as well. In the fall of '06, I actually do help Russia back into Eddy because I do want to keep giving him ways to help defend versus Austria, who's making this big push. He's on 8. Can he get to 9 this year? Obviously, his relationship with Italy is over, but he still just has a strong core of armies. And so I do go ahead and try to help Russia into Vienna. At that point, Austria and I have been cordial, but now it looks like he can see what I'm trying to do. Right, I'm trying to just play my angles. I do get into Wales as well. So in the winter, we have a removal from France, although France is now England somehow. and Turkey picks up Naples, so he's back in the game as well. Really good for me, obviously, because Austria and Turkey have been working against each other, and probably Turkey's not going to let Austria win this game. Even though I think objectively I'm the biggest threat at this point to Solo, it doesn't appear that I have any enemies. Russia has sort of decided to work with me in the near term, maybe looking for a chance to get back in it himself at one point. But of course, I have this option to play into St. Petersburg at the right moment. So what happens in 07 of spring? Well, Russia does go ahead and play these defensive moves into Prussia and Silesia himself. I think it's a good play for board balancing purposes. He and Austria are gonna make up, and maybe they've figured they can take out Turkey from this game at one point together. So long as they can keep me from winning the game, then they have a shot of winning themselves. I do opt to play a little bit slower against Italy since he and Austria are at each other's throats while I clean up England. So there's no need to rush. I did actually try to help Eddie here, but Eddie actually moved to Norwegian to try to work his magic in some sense here in combination with the French fleets. I think the move would have had to have been Clyde to Eddie, though. Clyde to Eddie, supported by Yorkshire, puts 3 enemy fleets on the North Sea, and then maybe they can bust through the North Sea themselves. And that exposes some of these centers to an enemy fleet, which would potentially have slowed me down a bit. So let's go into fall. I believe I've clicked the button here to go into fall. Let's try again. A couple more years. And let's try this. Still waiting for Backstabber. All right, here we go. 5 fall 1907. I have taken London and improved my position into Yorkshire. Italy is coming back. Actually, Turkey and Austria are working together, but how long that will last, I think it's just. I mean, they're both working together against Italy there, and Turkey can probably come up behind at one point, is his thinking. I do have to give up Berlin. My thinking is that I can at least take Silesia, and by moving Kiel to Berlin, I force him to use Silesia to move there, and I wanted to potentially take Marseille, but I think Burgundy had to come back to Munich in this position. And Russia coming north into STP to defend against my stab. Stab is not coming yet. So here we go. I now go ahead and take Eddie myself in the spring of 08. Take back Berlin. Try to help Italy into Venice. And there's some shuffling from Turkey and Austria. Just not overly consequential. But we do see this retreat into Armenia from Russia, which is interesting, because it does allow in the fall him to hold his position, and I actually help him into Warsaw while moving out of Berlin. So Russia keeps Berlin here. Russia keeps Berlin. My thinking again is that if I'm going to try to solo this game, I don't want to go up to 14 centers, and I can't build anyway because I would be occupying that center. So let me continue to get my position in the west before it's time to strike and it's a done deal. So that was the reasoning there. And that also keeps Russia on side with me and keeps him in the game. He's able to come over to now at this point. In the winter, I'm able to put 2 builds down. Turkey picking up Greece as well now. So he's adding Khan into the mix. Fleet Khan. You can see I have a nice little streak of armies here. 2 more coming in. Things are looking good. I'm looking at how do I get to 18? STP, Berlin, Spain, and Portugal is 14. So there's Marseille, there's Vienna, there's Warsaw, there's Moscow. There's a number of ways to get there. Because I needed to defend against Russia, I couldn't move my fleets as quickly. And so, Russia may beat me to Mao here. So let's see what happens. Spring of 09. I do go ahead and move into English Channel, but I do now make my move against Russia. Heading for St. Petersburg. I'm able to take back Berlin. I'm able to get into Galicia. And, these moves, down here don't mean too much for me. But as you can see, Turkey is getting into Bulgaria, really putting the end to any hopes for Austria to come out on top here. And in fall of 09, I just follow through on those moves. And, Italy is going to make his move into Burgundy here. It's a good move. Of course, I'll be building, and I'm able to cover Brest. I'm able to cover Brest. I wouldn't be able to cover Paris in the next season, but with the builds, I think I'd be able to get there. So maybe the move is actually Wales. Convoying to Brest here so that I can cover Paris if the game continues. As it is, we do go ahead and call the game right here. So ends up in a 5-way draw. And could this have been soloable? I'm not sure. I think we all went for the draw. A few of us played in a game the previous night where Adam Silverman had a nice board top in an exhibition game at my place, masked game for safety. He and his brother Eric Silverman completely demolished me as Germany. They were EF against my Germany. Adam as England definitely had his way, even though I was able to stifle briefly France's incursion into Ruhr, but I was first out of that game. And I think we came back to this online game, and when I said, hey guys, everyone's played well, I think the remaining players deserve a piece of this draw. This is a non-ranked, non-scoring game, and I think it's a fair result as it turned out. If we look at this tactically, I don't think from here it's entirely soloable, but it's possible. I don't have the tactical know-how that many others in the game have. We've already discussed the move might have been convoying into Brest instead of moving the fleet in, although now there's 2 fleets on Mao. But of course Russia and Italy could work together to hold Mao, and so the question is, how quickly can I get armies into Paris and Gas and Marseille with the rest of the board working together? I think at this point a draw is a fair result. And that's private Minnesota Game 4, playing on Backstabber May through July. Thanks everyone for listening and your support. I'll see you soon. Take care.